Yesterday I told you to watch this setup. I told you the models were showing something building, and that the numbers being described by the Storm Prediction Center were the kind of numbers that deserve your full attention. And then this morning, the SPC upgraded the risk. Not maintained it, upgraded it. From a slight risk yesterday to an enhanced risk today for northeast Colorado, southwest Nebraska, and northwest Kansas. That is level 3 out of 5, and it happened faster than even the overnight model suggested it would. When the atmosphere resolves toward the dangerous end of the forecast envelope, faster than the computers expected, that is when you pay the closest attention. That is what is happening right now. And that is why you're watching this video today. It is Wednesday, July 8th, 2026. And if you are somewhere in the Central Plains, the Upper Midwest, or anywhere in between, this is the video you need to watch before you make any plans for this afternoon and evening. Let me break down exactly what the upgrade means, who is in the crosshairs, and what you need to do right now. I want to start by explaining what an upgrade from slight to enhanced actually means in plain terms, because I think the risk labels can start to blur together when you hear them constantly through a season like this one. The Storm Prediction Center uses 5 levels: marginal, slight, enhanced, moderate, and high. Each level represents a different expectation for how widespread and how intense the severe weather will be. Slight risk means scattered severe storms are possible. Short-lived, not necessarily widespread. A rough afternoon in some spots. Enhanced risk means more than that. The SPC's own definition is numerous severe thunderstorms possible, more persistent, more widespread, a few intense. That word intense is doing a lot of work. It means the SPC expects some of these storms to produce not just garden variety hail and wind, but the kind of impacts that damage vehicles, destroy crops, knock down power lines across wide areas, and in the worst cases, put tornadoes on the ground. Today's enhanced risk for northeast Colorado, southwest Nebraska, and northwest Kansas was issued at 12:15 p.m. Eastern. It came with a 2% tornado probability outline over the same corridor. It sounds small, but in weather forecasting terms, 2% means the environment has been specifically assessed as tornado capable. It is 5 times the background climatological tornado probability for any given location on any given afternoon. The reason this happened today instead of being in place yesterday comes down to one thing. The ridge of high pressure over the Rockies weakened faster than expected overnight, and that allowed stronger jet stream winds to push into the Colorado, Nebraska, and Kansas region ahead of schedule. Stronger jet stream winds mean stronger wind shear in the severe weather environment. Stronger wind shear means storms can organize more readily into rotating supercells, and rotating supercells are what produce tornadoes. The atmosphere handed forecasters a faster and sharper setup than the model showed 24 hours ago, and forecasters responded by upgrading the risk. Let me walk you through the specific storm timeline today so you know what to expect and when. This afternoon, starting around 2 to 3 p.m. local time, thunderstorms will begin developing over the mountains and foothills of Colorado and southern Wyoming. These storms will spread east into the plains through the afternoon. By mid to late afternoon, you will start seeing organized severe thunderstorms capable of large hail and damaging winds across the enhanced risk corridor. The first storms will likely take the form of discrete supercells. Individual, rotating thunderstorms that have all the instability and wind shear to themselves. These are the storms most capable of producing significant hail and tornadoes. If you are in Sterling, Colby, Julesburg, or McCook, this is your window. Through the evening, some of those storms will likely grow and merge into larger clusters. When that happens, the tornado threat on individual cells becomes less prominent, but the wind threat from the larger system expands significantly. You can go from a small, intense hail-producing supercell to a broad bow echo producing 70 mph straight-line winds across a 100-mile corridor in the space of an hour or two. Separately, up in Minnesota and Wisconsin, there's a second storm threat along a different boundary today and tonight. A fast-moving system dropping out of North Dakota is going to push storms into the Minnesota-Wisconsin corridor through the evening and overnight hours. Up here, the primary threats are also wind and hail, with an isolated tornado possible. For anyone in the Minneapolis metro, Eau Claire, La Crosse, or Green Bay, your active window is late afternoon through late evening, and potentially into the overnight hours. This is the same corridor that produced Monday night's particularly dangerous situation tornado warning near Detroit Lakes. The same boundary, the same atmospheric setup. It was treated seriously on Monday. Treat it seriously today. Every time there is a big headline severe weather threat, the flooding side of the story gets underplayed. I don't want to do that today because the flooding risk right now is real, and it is affecting a lot of the same communities. From the northern plains through the upper Great Lakes and into the mid-Atlantic, heavy to excessive rainfall is an ongoing threat through today. This is not a new storm producing this flooding risk. It is the combination of repeated rounds of moisture transport, the same Gulf moisture that has been fueling storm after storm since the heat dome started breaking over the weekend, hitting ground that has been absorbing rain repeatedly since late May. The ground in much of the upper Midwest is simply out of capacity. Any additional rain, even a relatively modest inch or two, produces immediate surface runoff into already elevated streams and rivers. Urban drainage systems that were built for normal seasonal conditions are processing way beyond their design capacity. If you are in any of these areas and you receive a flash flood warning today, that is not the same as a flash flood watch. A warning means flooding is imminent or already happening. Move to higher ground, do not wait to see the water, and do not drive through any water covering a roadway, not for any reason. I would be doing you a disservice if I only talked about today and didn't give you the look ahead, because what is building behind today's storms is the reason this week matters more than just a single afternoon of severe weather. The Storm Prediction Center's medium-range guidance confirmed this morning that forecasters are watching a prominent mid-level high building across the Colorado Plateau through the Middle Missouri Valley this coming weekend and into early next week. And associated with that building ridge, a plume of very warm, elevated, mixed-layer air is forecast to advect northward and eastward, which is exactly the atmospheric fuel can that produces the most explosive severe weather when it collides with the right forcing. The models are in agreement on this. When the SPC describes general consensus and medium-range guidance, that means multiple independent modeling systems. The American GFS, the European ECMWF, the Canadian CMC are all pointing at the same setup. That level of agreement at 4 to 8 days out is not something forecasters see every week. It shows up before significant events. We don't know yet whether this weekend produces an enhanced risk, a moderate risk, or something else. That level of detail does not come into view until we are within 24 to 48 hours of the event. But what we do know from this morning's official SPC products is that the ingredients are assembling. The ridge is building, the mixed layer plume is loading, and the pattern has been delivering on its threats all season long. Watch the Day 2 outlook that comes out tonight. That will be the first product to show any meaningful risk designation for Thursday. And if that product shows moderate risk language anywhere, that would be a significant escalation signal for the days that follow. I am going to close with 3 specific things, not general advice, not vague suggestions to be weather aware. 3 specific, actionable things you need to do before 2 p.m. today. 1, know your shelter. If you live in northeast Colorado, southwest Nebraska, northwest Kansas, or along the Minnesota-Wisconsin boundary, identify the specific room in your specific home or building where you shelter from a tornado. Basement, if you have one. Interior first floor room away from windows if you don't. Know where that is before the first storm develops, not when the warning goes off. Now. 2, confirm your alerts are active. Open your weather app. Confirm that notifications for your county are turned on. If you have a NOAA weather radio, confirm it is set to alarm for your county. The overnight storm threat, particularly in Minnesota and Wisconsin, means you could be asleep when warnings are issued. Your phone's emergency alerts are a baseline, not a complete system. 3, do not drive through water. This applies to everyone in the flooding corridor from the upper Midwest through the mid-Atlantic. 2 feet of moving water will sweep a vehicle off a road. The road that looks passable at 7 p.m. can be gone by 7:15 p.m., when a storm has been dropping 2 to 3 inches per hour upstream. Every year people die in this situation. Turnaround, always. The threat got more serious today. The upgrade happened, the afternoon window is open. Stay safe out there.